has returned. The project manager that nobody asked for. It's Monday. I'm not in the yard. I'm in St. Lucia, in the north of the island. Mid-concrete pour on the new police station. Now I was driving past on the highway and I said, I know that 36-meter boom pump. So I popped in, and of course it's my mate Kurt's. Click here to watch a video where I talk about my mate Kurt, who turned a business which was almost bankrupt into a $100 million business. Well, the site's being built by Rene's Construction and they're gonna be complete in August. Now they're about to pour their concrete, but let's head back to our yard because we have some concrete to pour as well. At the same time as pouring, we're breaking out at the top of the yard to prepare for more concrete in. The breakout is good material which can be processed to create recycled aggregates. As we break away the layers of concrete, we find more track buried, which is going straight into the scrap bin. Behind me, I have a 1.7 acre plot of land, which I made a video about. Click here to watch that video, where I was going through all of the options possible and what I might build here. The last scheme was around 23 units. And then as we progressed in weekly, I showed you a proposed plan to turn it into a high rise, which was 10 floors, which I didn't actually go to planning on because I was contemplating. With what's happened over the past 24 months, I've learned a lot of lessons, and there's one that keeps popping into my head. Just because I can make something work, that doesn't necessarily mean I should. And I've come to the conclusion after thinking about this long and hard and contemplating that this is not the right plot of land for me and my aspirations because it is not waterfront. No matter how uncompromising the design is, how I blend it with the tropical landscape, ultimately I'm going to be up against people who are at the waterfront, and I'm going to have to go above and beyond to get the same money as them, and my build costs are going to be sky high. It's fantastic for someone who wants to build their personal residence or a holiday home, but that's not where I am in my journey. I want to build multiple units. So I'm meeting an estate agent in half an hour. We're going to put it on the market and we're going to see what offers come in. I spoke about the uncompromising design, makes me think of architects and reminds me of the news that came in on Friday. The council have come back. They have rejected the pool house once again. This is the original scheme. We reduced the scheme dramatically. It is bigger than it used to be because we need the space, but I don't consider this overdevelopment. But if you look at the letter from the council, they do. So they are basically giving us advice that if we were to submit this, it would be rejected. So I've sent this to the client. I've got everyone to take some time and digest and gather their thoughts. Then we're going to discuss the best way forward. The pool house in its current state, it's basically derelict. You can't use the roof. It's leaking. There are all sorts of problems. So the only other option that I can see is once again trying to extend a little bit and fully refurbishing, but no matter what, it's going to need a completely new roof. We need to create gym space. There are no mechanical services for the pool. So yeah, the council have put myself and the client in a bit of a predicament. And on the subject of our build jobs, in central London today is a monumentous day because the polished plasterer is coming in to start the work on the feature wall fireplace. All the work you can see took place over 4 days. Day 1, a fire-resistant ready-made plaster base coat was applied with mesh. This is something you would normally see when rendering externally. This is done to increase the fire-resisting capabilities and reduce the possibility of cracking. Day 2 is another coat of the fire-resistant plaster, but this time with a much thicker application and a much smoother top finish. Day 3, we apply the first color base coat. And day 4, the gold finishing patches to tie it all together. It's Tuesday. Not in the yard. I'm still in St. Lucia. My meeting yesterday with a real estate agent went really well, and he had a fantastic idea. My plot of land is 1.7 acres, and he believes that alienates my buyers and gives me a very small pool of people who will buy it. He believes the best way forward is to run an access road into the site and then to divide it into 4 separate plots, meaning I'll get more for the land and more people will be able to afford it. I thought that that was a fantastic idea. In the yard today, we've had to move the diesel tank and the concrete blocks we've used to build up so we can put the IBCs on top of them. We've also had to move the volumetrics round onto the slab because we need to do some concrete in that area. So we have begun to prepare now. The capacity of the tank is 22,000 litres. Currently, there's only around 3,000 litres in there. First, we lift the main tank and then lift out the bund, which required a little bit of persuasion. We roughly level the ground in its new temporary home, drop the bund, and then the main tank inside of it. Moving a tank like this can cause issues as the contaminants within the tank, which have previously sank to the bottom, will now be swooshing around in the diesel and can cause a few issues like you've seen happening lately with the LH60. Leaving it to settle for a few days before we refuel should mitigate the issues, as the heavier particles will sink to the bottom and hopefully not be pumped into our machines. Then we create a ramp for access to the new slab and start moving the volleys. And finally, dismantle and reassemble the Lego blocks to ensure our AdBlue tanks can use gravity to discharge. Had a meeting today with a good friend of mine who is the structural engineer who did all of the work designing the structures for the different Ashville Heights proposals over the years. We were talking more specifically today about building on top of water. He's built piers and he's also been part of major hotel groups when they've been building on water bungalows. So we were discussing what needs to happen to concrete, and the problem is not so much with the concrete, it's more about the reinforced steel within the concrete. If you can imagine you're pouring a pillar which you're going to put a bungalow or a pier on top of, what you need to do first is pile into the ground. For a bungalow, probably 20 meters, for a pier maybe 40 or 50 meters, and then the rebar within the pillar you have to have 2.5 inches all of the way round in order to protect it, and then you have to have additives in the concrete. Now what complicates this is if the concrete is going to be within a part of the sea where the tide is massively in and out. Believe it or not, once it gets wet and then the water is gone and the air attacks it, that is actually worse than it being completely submerged the entire time. And then once you have your pillars in, the rebar, which is sticking on top of it, like you would have seen us do in the past, probably at Yanni's when we did the piling and we tied the foundations into it, you would then tie the foundations of whatever structure that was going to be there on top of it. You would pour your concrete slabs there, and then you would clad in decking or continue to build upwards, depending on the structures which you were going to put in place. Now this is something which is slightly new to me because I've never built on water or very close to sea. But I'm learning, and for good reason. Speaking of building, let's see what's going on at the refurbishment project. The fireplace has finally arrived. We're creating a fire-resistant sealed frame, which the fireplace will sit inside of. We start by marking up the floor, drill, fit masonry plugs, and secure the metal I-stud system channel. Then we clad in 12mm cement board and drop the fireplace in as a dress rehearsal. Then it's the ceiling, which we cannot directly attach to with the metal channel system as the slab is hollow. So we fit 4x2 timber and 18mm ply to create a firm fixing and then fit the I-stud system to the ply. We transfer the measurements from the bottom to the top and begin to mirror the footprint of the profile, but of course, with a lot more height. It's Wednesday morning, and I'm close to the Caribbean Sea, standing on a mountainside at a very interesting plot of land. My friend lives just above this land, and I was up at his house earlier looking at the view and how powerful the waves were. In the yard, we're still up the top, breaking out slabs and pouring more concrete. More meetings this morning, talking about the differences in building in the UK and building here. Every day is a school day and I'm always learning. The sea blast coming in, which is basically the salt which travels in the wind from the sea and corrodes your fixtures and fittings, unless of course they are authentic stainless steel. I've been told that a lot of people have been importing from a particular country and then things which are meant to be stainless steel are corroding like there's some cheap chrome, but I'm not mentioning any countries. Also, there's the structural work which goes into ensuring that the houses can stand up against hurricanes. I'm just standing on this plot of land, looking at the sea breaking, and you know when you know where you want to be and you think you know what you want to do, but just because you want to do it, that doesn't mean that that will necessarily work. So you spend your time thinking, but then you need to put appraisals in place to see if it genuinely works, which is what I'm trying to do. And I'm toying with an idea. Don't hold me to it. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I may need to slow down on the weekly videos at some point because I need time to myself to think. Making videos, content like this is very intense, and I wouldn't want it to cloud my judgment when I'm trying to make the next big decision. Plus, if I am to share the appraisals I'm doing, it could affect some of the financing, it could affect some of the people within the deals, because not everybody is into videos like this. And I wouldn't want trying to document what I'm doing before it happened stand as an obstacle in the way of it actually happening and the next stages in my life. Of course, when it does go through, I will share. But until that time, there may be a point where I have to put my foot on the brakes a little bit to give me some breathing space to think and fully assess, let any potential deals go through. And then once it's 100%, then I can share it and share how I got to that point, as opposed to doing it in real time. I'm not saying I'm going to do it. I'm just saying that I'm assessing and thinking about it. And that's it for Wednesday, looking at the Caribbean Sea on the side of a cliff in St. Lucia. No. I thought that that was it for Wednesday. Walking back to the car. And just like the other day, I look into the distance, and what do I see? It's Kurt's boom pump on another job. His pump is flat out working. Shout out to Kurt at Blueprint. Love seeing that. It's Thursday, and I'm in my auntie's office, and I'm not suggesting that her office is full of old antiques. I asked Simon to take a couple of pictures of our cube testing equipment, which we never got a chance to set up, and he said,
"What, from your Ashville antiques setup?"
So here are the pictures I'm sending over to an interested party. Hopefully they can actually set it up and get it working. But as we're not going to be doing concrete anymore, it doesn't make much sense holding on to all of the equipment. So we're going to let go all of the actual cube molds, temperature sensors, incubation chambers, and we'll let anyone have the paperwork as well so they can get themselves set up right and proper if anybody wants to come in from BSI and have a look at their setup. I'm still struggling with this forklift. I keep chasing JCB, and get this for an answer. For machines prior to 2002, JCB is not having build data. A local repair may be required. So basically, your kit is so old, Daniel, that we can't help you. But you know what? I like my forklift. My forklift isn't full of Euro 11 sensors with plugins that are required and diagnostics and all of that. I know we're having a few problems now, but it has been indestructible. And when we get over this current hurdle, it should be fine. But I need to work out how I'm now going to fix this pressure sensor without the help of JCB. Speaking of fixing machines, the L860. We have two quotes. We have one quote to make some rubber tracks to be fitted onto it, and we have another quote to completely change the tracks to 800 wide tracks, because at 800 wide, the rubber pads are mass produced. Our tracks are 750 wide, which means that we would have to get them made specifically. It's weighing up the two between having bespoke rubber pads made, where you have to pay for the actual mold or whatever it is, or changing the tracks completely to 800 wide and then having 800 wide rubber pads off the shelf. At the moment, it's not a problem, but you can see how far the concrete is progressing. And if we want to get onto that slab soon, we're going to have to do it. And while we're doing it, there are a couple of areas on the body which are damaged and the wrap has come off. So we've got to really start to think about, are we going to re-wrap the L860 or completely pull it off? I'm in a different headspace than I was a long time ago. So my thinking is just to take it off and not worry with all of this stress, but I guess we will see. Anyway, let's see how the lads are getting on in the yard. We're getting kind of boxed in now around the bottom of the yard. We need to shift the 40 and 20 yard bins. So our good friends at Power Day have sent in a roll-on, roll-off to get the bins moved and tucked in between the concrete and 6F5 so they're out of the way. Video came out yesterday on how we create recycled material, 6F5 to be more specific. Click here to watch that video. First standalone video we've done in a long time. It's one of those videos that we're very proud of, and I feel it was our obligation to do it because we were getting asked a lot of questions. It took a lot longer to come out than I'd hoped for, but when you see it, you'll see the attention to detail on all of the graphics, and you'll see all of the time that we would have put into it. So when you get a chance, please check out that video. It's going to explain a lot, and it's the reason why I wasn't showing us crushing in the yard. I felt it needed to be a standalone video. Moving on from my conversations yesterday, I spoke about partnerships in the video, Is This the End? When I spoke about us getting rid of the lorries and the restructure of the company. We've been talking for a while, and I believe that we are going to take on a partner in the yard to help us really ramp up the rail. I'm going to give you details on this later, but it's a company a lot larger than ourselves, and they have a real need to use rail, and they have the resources to fast track our progress by about 10 years rather than me doing a bit here and a bit there. And what's most important is that the gentleman that runs the company, he's a friend of mine I trust. So, you know, people do business with people, and I trust him implicitly. So I think in the yard, we're going to have some assistance, and that company, it will serve them well because they can bring in huge amounts of material which they need to be shipped on the train, and they will also broaden our horizon with clients. They're going to have a lot of people in the local area who may use our tipping facilities or who may collect primary material from us. So in the next few weeks, I'll be telling you more about that. And I think it's definitely necessary because I've had to learn in the past couple of years that partnering isn't the end of the world. And sometimes having this much of this is better than having 100% of this, especially when the party are specialists in the sector. They're raring to go, and they have resources which they want to put in, because it's not everybody who wants to partner with you. And of the people who do want to partner with you, it's not everyone you're going to get along with, or you're sometimes not going to find an honest person, as you can see by what I've said on some of the podcasts.
Ashville got nicked off me. Oh. This has never been in weekly or any of that.
I'll tell you more soon, but that's it for Thursday. It's Friday. I'm not in the yard. I'm up at my land, and the plan to sell the land has somewhat developed. This is the main road, which is off the highway, and in between this tree and that tree, this is where I have right of way and access, and this will run all the way down to the land which I showed you earlier in the week. Now the trouble with that is that the road runs to the top of the site, and then I'm going to need to provide access so the other plots can be accessed from that point. So I'm going to lose a lot of square footage trying to create that road that's going to go round. But to give you some perspective, there's my right of way between the trees, but my neighbor, who has unfortunately passed away, so I'll have to speak to his family, he was suggesting I run an access road through here because he has some parcels of land over here which he can dice up to a similar size, and then he can use this access road which I create, which will come into the middle of my plot. Therefore, I'm not going to need the same square footage for the access road, which I would with this, where I have to go round the top and then down. But in order to do this, I'm going to need to excavate all of this area. I'm going to need to create drainage along here, and then I'm going to have to build it back up and concrete. But now I'm thinking, perhaps while I'm doing all of this work here, why not run a duct and run the power and water? So potential buyers have all the utilities in place and they have an access road. It's obviously going to cost money, but hopefully that will translate into a better sales price. So we have power here, maybe put one pylon here to take the power across the street and then into the ground and then up this way. I haven't managed to find any of the water feeds yet, but there clearly is water because this house and the properties up here must be connected. If it's not going to make any difference whatsoever, I possibly won't do it. But what it may do is mean that if somebody is looking at these particular plots and another plot, that could swing the pendulum in my direction. Speaking of building up the material, in the yard this week, we have been absolutely flat out with 6F5, and Simon has told me we have moved around 4,000 tons. how similar is this lorry to our DAF tipper, which we sold a long time ago, KX08BMV. You know, I never forget the number plates of the original Ashville lorries. Speaking of lorries, I've sent the invoice for the 17 plate volumetric, which we put the new engine in. The finance company are coming out to look at it early next week, so we should be paid by Wednesday, and that lorry will be gone, and then there will just be 2 remaining. Someone's coming to look at another one, but we will need to hold on to one of them because we have a concrete job to do for one of our neighbors. I think by my calculations, the 2 remaining lorries are full of cement, and we have 12 ton of cement in the silo. We have some ballast, which we brought down from the top of the yard. I think we've got enough to do all of the concrete for our neighbor. If not, make a good start. And speaking of concrete, of course, this week in my absence, the concrete has continued flat out. Saturday, and we're not in the yard or Kurt's yard. We've jumped in the Ford Raptor. I've never been in one of these F-150 Raptors. It's got all the Bang & Olufsen and it is massive. I've never been a fan of the Fords, but I can't lie, I very much like this. We're heading to site to have a look at some of Kurt's finished builds. At long last, he has returned, the project manager that nobody asked for. This is a 4-bedroom residence. Here we have the front entrance. There is going to be stepping stones and a water feature to get to the front door here. The front door opening is 20 foot high. On both this side and this side, there are going to be water features, what feed into sort of like the moat here, with little steps which you step across. It's going to be one full door which pivots open. Stepping in here. Other side of the front door. As soon as you walk in, you have a television on this wall and you have a nice seating area. All of this is bifold doors to give you a fantastic view. And this will be a nice walkway, and the swimming pool will be located right here. Here, these are channels which are already in the wall because this is going to be a custom built aquarium which will fit in the wall, salt water, sort of like Finding Nemo, so there'll be loads of fabulous colors. On this side, this is the home office. Again, we're going to have glass on both sides, and when sitting in the office, if you look out, you can see the sea over here and you can see the lovely landscaping. Over to this side, we have an L-shaped kitchen along this wall, and here is formal dining, again with glass. Over here, there'll be bifolds, and now we have stepped outside, and this is an outside terrace area where you can have breakfast in the mornings. Downstairs toilet, which will have a pocket door. Now to this side, we have the master bedroom. So the bed will be here, in between the large windows. We're going to have glass all along this frontage, again for a fantastic view. And then we have a shower here. And this opening is going to have smart glass. So when laying in the bed, if you wish to see the person showering, you can leave the glass clear, or you press a button and it turns opaque. And then into the rest of the ensuite. Freestanding tub goes here. Fantastic views of the golf course. One sink on this side, one sink on the other, his and hers. And this is a small wardrobe, but get this, there is a trap door on the wardrobe in case of a hurricane. Now, all the windows are spec'd out of Miami, which should stand up to a category 5. But just in case, with the amount of glass, if there is a hurricane, you open the trap door, stairs drop down, and you head into the bunker for safety. What a house this is going to be. And I haven't even gone up to the first floor yet. The floating stairs from the ground floor will come up here. And over here, there will not be any floor in this area because this will be double height, letting in natural light. We have one bedroom here, one bedroom here, and one bedroom here, all with en-suites, all with massive glass opening windows and doors. A nice little treat for the project manager that no one asked for before getting this flight. So now I'm heading back now to pack, and in a couple of hours I'll be driving down to the south of the island to catch my plane back to London. Thank you, fellas. Flight was a little bit delayed, but I'm about to start boarding. I'll be at London Gatwick at 8 a.m. And that's it for Ashville Weekly, episode 246. Click here for the Ashville website. Click here to subscribe to our channel. Click down here for an Ashville video you may not have seen before. And click down here for last week's episode, which was number 245.